I can hear my wife listening, or I can hear my wife watching some trashy Netflix right now. Probably some garbage dating marriage at first sight boo hockey, in which desperate not only for fame and attention, but also romantic partners get together without meeting each other. And wouldn't you know it, they have completely opposite worldviews. Wah, wah. And when you put them together, they don't really mix very well. Except they pretend like they do because they are told to do that, because that's how reality shows work. You're paid a very, very small sum to pretend like you're some sort of actor. It's like double acting. You're pretending within the pretending. They're not even, I mean, some of them are handsome, but a lot of them look really weird. You know, like TV used to be, you gotta look this pretty. The Bachelors and the Big Brothers, the Little Sisters, they all looked pretty decent. Maybe too decent. Like, they were made in a lab. But these people, they're like... It's like, what do you get when you get low-rent reality stars? You get love at first sight. That's what you get. Give me Indian Matchmaker. And I don't even like that show either, but give me Indian Matchmaker over this any day.
Let's do it.
I gave you your B-roll, you son of a bitch. Wake up, everybody. Today is Thursday, September 24th, and we are Never Free to Play, a podcast where we talk about all the video games we wish we were playing. I'm one of your hosts, Karch Palashi, joined by my co-host, Jason Wright. If you decide you like us and you want to hear us talk about the latest news for Kirby Fighters 2, you can find us at neverfreetoplay.com, patreon.com/neverfreetoplay, or on all the other social media where we are Never Free to Play. If you have questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, feedback, please send it to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. Jason, how are you doing?
Pretty.
I don't care.
Well,
I'm hungry.
Oh,
feed me.
No.
Feed me.
I was going to say I'm a little hungry myself.
What are we going to get? Let's go to Taco Bell or McDonald's, get some of them spicy McNuggets. Because I'm feeling
Taco Bell is dangerous, dude. Taco Bell. Let me tell you something about Taco Bell.
Ugh.
I don't think I've told you this.
Go ahead. Tell me.
People. I feel like people are going to get mad at me for telling this story.
I might.
Maybe I'll leave out some details.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm gonna tell it. So I was in Memphis 2 weeks ago, and I was not at home, and I was staying with a family member, extended family member. Anyway, my point is I was working from their house, and I wanted coffee, so I decided to go to Starbucks. Mm-hmm. This Starbucks happened to be right next to Taco Bell, and the line was wrapped around the building, and so I had decided initially.
Wait, hold up. Whose line was wrapped around the building?
Starbucks.
Gotcha.
And that's where I was going. So I was like, well, these people are dumb. I'm just going to go inside. And I saw a woman walk out of the building to her car. And I was like, okay, cool. So I parked my car and I go out to the building and I pull the door and it's locked. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I literally just saw somebody walk out. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I guess I'm going to sit in this line because I'm a sucker and I have to have my coffee. And anyway, so I am pulling, the line is wrapped so far around the building that I actually have to go into the Taco Bell parking lot to turn around and get at the end of the Starbucks line because the line is wrapped around Starbucks and gotten into the Taco Bell parking lot. And as I'm trying to pull out and get into the Taco Bell parking lot, this woman, she just guns it out of the Starbucks drive-through, and she's like, drifting into the Taco Bell parking lot, and then she goes into the Taco Bell drive-through. So she goes right from Starbucks to Taco Bell, and the only thing I could think in my head is like, God save her toilet. Right from Starbucks, like emergency into Taco Bell. And you know the thing is though, is right after I saw her do that, I thought about it and I was like, screw it, I'll do it too. So I went to Taco Bell after I got Starbucks.
Nice.
Anyway, and the other thing I want to say about Taco Bell is that it's very dangerous because you can buy 1,250 calories for $3.
Yeah, that's a deal.
insane. That's insane.
It's an insane
and
deal.
I did it because I'm a terrible person.
Stop counting your Taco Bell calories. You go ahead and diet all you want. Don't count your calories, Taco Bell.
I just thought, they're like they're touted as this vegan like health halo, like they're purging some stuff off their menu and they're secretly this healthy restaurant, which I don't believe. I know some of that's just
never heard such
weird marketing. You go look up the articles. They're there about this vegan, like Taco Bell is one of the best places, fast food places for vegans. And it's tortillas, rice, beans, and meat. And I'm like, how could that possibly be more calories than a burger? But it is. I just don't get it.
Beans are highly caloric.
I suppose.
So is cheese and so is tortilla. I mean, meat. I don't know.
Teach me your ways, Skinny Karch. Teach me your ways.
Karch, please. Come on. I haven't been to Taco Bell since way before quarantine, and I miss it terribly.
The last time I ate Taco Bell, Donald Trump got elected, so I stopped eating Taco Bell. I'm not kidding. So Lauren and I, 2016, whatever day it was, November 4th, we both go to the thing. We're like, heck yeah. We're, Ohio, we're swing state because we were voting in Ohio. So we were so stoked. Got the little I voted sticker. We heard a rumor that you could get free tacos if you voted. So we go to Taco Bell.
Did you?
And we go up to the window, not the window. We actually go inside and we're like, hey, we voted. And they're like, okay, cool. What do you want to eat? So we just ordered and we did not get free tacos.
These weirdos are trying to get me to swing with them for free tacos.
Right. And then later Donald Trump got elected and I had diarrhea the next day. So it's like a lose-lose situation.
What is it with the population and their weak constitution? Because I'm
just kidding. Taco Bell doesn't do me like that.
Then what is the joke? Because like these poor little white bread silly old Anglo-Saxons, because I ain't no Anglo-Saxon. I might be white, but I ain't no Anglo-Saxon.
You're a Hungarian. That's why you're so hungry. Anyway.
Exactly. Oh my gosh. I'm going to kill you and everybody I've known since first grade when that joke was first made. Hey, you should go hang out with Turkey.
I've actually never heard that. That's great.
Oh, it's the worst joke
great, dude.
I've ever heard in my entire life. Anyway, that's enough taco talk. A little housekeeping. Like us.
I like how you just we don't talk about you at all because I just had too much to
You always have this long anecdote and I almost never have anything to say in the first place. I still have a puppy and I'm very tired from it. So
okay, great. That's Karch's update.
That was my update. I'm hungry. I said I was hangry. It's going to be a hangry episode. It's a different kind of energy because I already had my cold brew like an hour and a half ago.
I like it. My dad used to tell me when I wrestled in elementary school that you wrestle better when you're hungry.
Sounds like a lie.
Angry. It was a lie. I didn't realize this, but the whole time he was just trying to make sure that I made weight. I didn't realize that literally till I was 25. I didn't realize that.
It's like when they tell you don't have sex before you fight. And I'm like,
wait, what?
It's like no boom boom before big fight. They tell you not to. They tell you keep your head clear. Keep your head. I'm like, I'm.
What are you, a boxer now?
Me? No,
yeah.
I'm just no one's told me that. This is a thing I've seen people say, heard people say about athletes and competitors in a physical sense. It's like, oh, dude, it's just one of those dumb, obviously your dad was tricking you. That was different for for the weigh-in, and that's legitimate. But but he was telling you a wives' tale to get you to do it. It was
he also told me not to. I was in kindergarten. He also told me that I couldn't have sex before my wrestling matches.
Oh, I knew it was coming. It was still really funny. All right. Like I said, housekeeping, share, subscribe. Oh, I almost had it. I had a thing I was going to do. Subscribe, follow us on Twitter. Click that link.
Click it, man. It's at the top of the description and the YouTube.
But unfortunately, even if you smash that bell, you're not going to get the notification until 7 hours after it goes live because I don't, and I'm the channel holder.
That is true. That is true.
Because the algorithm hates us.
Well, the algorithm does hate us, and we have to fight that algorithm. We got to fight it
by talking for 7 minutes before we get into the episode. All right, we got one shout out, Jason. Shout him out.
I want to give a shout out to Arsenic Steel 00 on YouTube, because I honestly didn't think anybody that we didn't know in real life was watching this, but he's always got, or she always has like really thought-provoking comments about our topics, which tells me that they're actually getting past the intro, like getting into the, I don't know where this person comes from. For all I know, they're trolling us and they know us in real life.
That would
which
be
is
funny.
Hilarious.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Don't tell us who you
That's
are.
true. No, don't. Just keep going. Just keep doing what you're doing. I love it. I love it. Keep going. Keep commenting. Keep watching. Maybe tell your friends and get them to, do the same thing. It'd be fantastic. Shout out to you.
Thanks, Arsenic.
Steel.
No corrections.
There were some things that I was like, oh, I should look that up for corrections, and then I just
You don't correct
so.
yourself. That's not how this works.
You're
It's
right.
Arsenic's job. It's Sean's job. Okay?
It's Josh's job. It's
Josh's
Kane's
job.
job. I haven't heard from Kane in a while.
Kane's scrubber will now pick up his name.
I'm
he will now pay
never gonna.
attention.
Yeah, I'm never gonna rule him out. I'm never gonna rule him out.
Wild card. Love it. Love to see it. Love to hear it. All right. Big news week, sorta. Like, we're gonna see here in a sec, but it was like Monday morning. What? And then at the same time, like, whatever. So Microsoft bought ZeniMax.
And no, that isn't a premium channel cable package.
No, ZeniMax is the parent company for one Bethesda Games and all the studios and the little family of studios that comes along with it. So that includes Bethesda Studios, who makes the Skyrims and the Fallouts, id Software, the people in charge of the Doom series, and then Arcane, who do Dishonored, the upcoming Deathloop, and there's another one I'm missing. Prey. Prey is something they made before that. And so that's a big deal. And for a big sum, $7.5 billion
With
US American boffos.
Yep.
And
B as in Billy Gates.
Billy Gates. Billy Gates. That's right. We measure money in Gateses. He's going to be on the $1 billion bill.
That'd be a good idea.
It would be. So yeah, that's a huge deal. That is a lockdown. But so unfortunately, it will be a huge deal once we know what it means. Doom Eternal's coming to Game Pass on the 1st. That was announced today.
Ooh.
So already, a few things are happening. Obviously, all of these games are going to come to Game Pass. That is a foregone conclusion, unless there is a contractual obligation they have to wait through. Aside from that, though, we don't know if they're going to keep these exclusive to their services, because I'm going to start saying things like that instead of consoles, because I'm tired of differentiating between console exclusive and PC as well. Like I just can't have that conversation anymore, because who cares? Like, I don't. So I'm going to say services or platform or something like that. So I don't know if they're going to keep them locked down there, or if they're going to continue to share them like they did Minecraft. Like Skyrim and all of Bethesda's, IP are well beloved by the entire gaming community, are on all consoles and platforms currently. But who knows? Microsoft's...
I could honestly see it going either way.
Me too.
Because I don't necessarily think there's a wrong decision, but I think given Microsoft's strategy, I wouldn't be surprised if they continued to publish on multiple platforms, but we really that theory hasn't been tested, because Outer Worlds,
mm-hmm.
they bought Obsidian right before that game was released, but they already had the publishing deal that had already gone through it. I'm trying to remember the publisher.
2K. Or Take-Two.
Yeah, 2K.
Which one of them?
One of the two. Yeah. So they already had that publishing deal in place, and so obviously it was they had to abide by that. And the same thing is true here. Like, Arcane is developing Deathloop, and that's going to remain a PS5 console exclusive at launch. So first of all, it's kind of interesting. Either that deal was a long time in the making, that deal between Sony and Bethesda, or this deal with Microsoft was pretty recent. One of those two things are true.
For all, they obviously announced it, so everything was just about said and done, but there could have been some final legal... these things take a long time, and they can take as long as they need to, but I think the ink was just drying, right?
And that makes sense. I used to work for a company that was big on acquisition. And it was a Fortune 500 company, but kind of their strategy was to go in to a market and buy a bunch of mom and pop shops that were considered to be the experts in whatever that technology was, and then acquire them and bring them into the company. And so, I worked for this one division. It was a filtration division, and they said at any given time we have 6 deals in the making, and it's just a matter of if one of those happens to hit this fiscal year. And so it wouldn't surprise me if these kind of feelers are always out there, and then when market conditions are right or seem correct, whatever it is, then that deal hits. And so this could have been something that was long in negotiation, and the market conditions just made sense for it to finally hit. But Bethesda had already made this exclusivity deal with Sony, and obviously they're going to honor that. So it's going to be really interesting, like you said, though, to see how this plays out moving forward with those later releases, because, again, that's never been tested. With all these acquisitions that Microsoft has been doing, it's never been tested. Like, for instance, Fable, I can almost guarantee you Fable's going to be a console exclusive or a platform exclusive to Microsoft.
Yeah. But does ZeniMax do anything else? Or
I don't know.
Are they just were they just created as a parent company to because they do these things like that, companies do that where like Bethesda might have started off one way but then they're as they grew, okay, we need a holding company that puts all this together. I don't know.
I'm looking it up right now.
So am I, and it really just seems like they're all about their video games.
They also have Machine Games, so that's the developer of the Wolfenstein series.
Yes.
Tango Gameworks, Evil Within. Yeah, I mean, I thought they had some sort of thumb in VR, but I could be wrong about that. ZeniMax VR. I can edit around this if I need to. ZeniMax versus Oculus. There was a civil lawsuit filed by ZeniMax against Oculus VR, charges of theft of intellectual property. Yeah, I remember this. I don't remember exactly. It had to do with Palmer Luckey, and head-mounted displays. So that might be a correction for next week if we want to go into this. So,
no, I don't.
Yeah,
because like I said, because I was thinking it's Microsoft to do this. I assumed they might have additional reasons, but no, they bought basically the Xbox division bought this. Obviously Microsoft owns ZeniMax, but Xbox wanted to own Bethesda. Is basically what they wanted.
That's what it boils down to. It's weird that ZeniMax is because when I hear that list of companies, I just immediately think Bethesda. And ZeniMax, I know in the back of my head that they're the parent company, but it never comes to mind. So I don't understand why it's a thing, how it was formed, what the history around that is, but yeah.
Yeah. So, does this mean anything for Sony? Do they have to be afraid? Because that was the conversation, and I thought that was a little trite. People were grasping for straws about something to talk to, because again, we don't have a lot of information other than that a deal was struck and they own them now. That's literally all we knew on Monday. And then again, the only additional thing that come out is again, Doom Eternal is coming to Game Pass on the 1st. So
here's what I find interesting. So as we now know the price of the PlayStation 5, it's going to be $400 for the digital edition, and it's going to be $500 for the disc. And if rumors are to be believed, they are essentially selling these consoles at cost. So they are well aware of the fact that to make money, you basically have to sell software. But if that's your goal, then why wouldn't you want to have your software on as many platforms as possible? I don't understand. It seems like we found a chink in the armor of console exclusives. I don't understand. What's the point of trying to sell your consoles if you're selling them I guess it's kind of a loss leader, because you bring them in with Spider-Man and Uncharted and The Last of Us, and then they're going to be buying all of in theory, all of their software on your console. And if they get the all digital, all the better, because you're getting that 30% cut. So, I mean, maybe it makes sense. It's just weird to think about. And that's what leads me to like, will Microsoft continue to allow, like, is it better for them to lose a little bit of money if you buy Skyrim Elder Scrolls 6 on the PlayStation 5? Or do they want to try to use that as a loss leader to get you into the Microsoft ecosystem? Because that just doesn't seem like their strategy.
No, it doesn't. And you bring up a good point. Like, Sony has a remarkable, for all the joking that we do, and because it's true, all the joking that people do about Microsoft and no exclusives, Sony just has that many more. You know, like, they have quite a handful of exclusives that launched this on the PS4, and more coming in the PS5, in addition to sequels from those on PS4. So they rake in 100% of those profits, and that's a lot of money. You know, like, it's nothing to sneeze at all. With Last of Us 2, for instance, selling like 4 million units in its first 3 days, which is crazy. Ghost of Tsushima doing gangbusters as well. Everything else, though, you're making much less than 100% of the profits. You're making at most 30% of, the sticker price, or maybe even less than the sticker price. And then if you're publishing it, maybe a little bit more in addition to your like platform fee. But you're right. Like, at that point, like, a spade's a spade. Your 30% cut on your platform means nothing different than if it was on Xbox, except you made people come to your platform. Except people are already there.
Because in that case, if I'm Sony and I'm selling a Sony published game on the Xbox, in theory, they're taking 30% and I'm getting the other 70%. Right? So, I mean, I know that's very, very basic, simplistic math.
Somebody else is getting the other 70%.
There's more to it than that. But, like, if you're just going to cut it down to its core, like, you're making the majority of the money if you sell software on another platform.
Right. And it goes back to what's the point of the Game Pass? Like, a subscription, like, how are they going to be making money? And that comes from people like me. I mean, it comes from everybody who subscribes, obviously, but it comes from people like me who are never going to buy an Xbox. Ever. Just not going to happen. I'm too entrenched in the Sony ecosystem. They would have to stop making all the games that they make for me to leave. It's just not going to happen. But now I'm paying them $5 a month, soon to be 10, probably eventually like 15 or 20, and then we'll talk. But for now, they're getting more money out of me than they ever have in recent years. And so the money that, like, I'm very curious, what's the proportion of people who will now be able to play and give you money on Xbox who would never have given Sony money before? And how many of those same people are actually being stolen from Sony? How many people are actually moving away from PlayStation to go to Xbox versus how many people are just now who are already on Xbox buying Sony games, like, assuming Sony starts putting them elsewhere. This is this hypothetical situation we've come up with.
Sure.
If I had to guess, the answer would be not that many. Not that many people are being stolen away, because it's like, especially with the Microsoft being so friendly, we'll say, with their IP.
We'll see how that goes this generation, because I think the thing, like, for me, it was always a matter of, like, where are my friends at? That's the ecosystem I want to be in. But more and more of these giant multiplayer games are cross play. You know what I mean? And that's really new to this generation. So then now it becomes, what ecosystem do you want to be in? What hardware do you prefer? More so than just, what consoles do my friends buy? That doesn't matter as much.
Yeah. Crossplay is becoming, with the increase of crossplay and the fact that, like, gaming is starting to skew older, and I'm sorry, but, like, it doesn't matter where my friends are. I don't have time to play with them. Like, you make specific time to play with Tyler, and that's about it. Occasionally you might play with Greg, and once in a blue moon you might play with your brother, and that's about it. It doesn't matter that you want to be with your friends or your family. You don't have time. I don't have time.
Never free to play, man.
Never free to play multiplayer.
How do we even make this podcast?
We don't.
You're right.
All right. So that was the big news from Microsoft, but Amazon wasn't going to take that lying down. No. today they announced, hot takes, hot news, that they are launching their own Stadia-like streaming service called Luna. And it entered early access today by request. You have to answer a little survey, and then they have to say yes to you. I don't know exactly how you go about that, because I have no intention of signing up for it. But it's going to be $6 a month, and it's very Stadia-esque. It's not exactly like Stadia. The size of their library of games that you'll be able to play out of the box with no additional cost is a little bit larger, it seems.
They say like 100-ish games is what they
plus.
say. Okay.
Whatever. Something. It's a decent number. Looks like there's talks to, and this is very vague and confusing, but there's some sort of relationship going on with Ubisoft. You can't play those with just the subscription.
Which is $6 a month. So
right.
$6 a month gets you like the base service, which has probably a ton of indie games and like a handful of AAA. They mentioned specifically, so I imagine these are like the only AAA games, are like Resident Evil 7, Control, Panzer Dragoon, which isn't even AAA, A Plague Tale: Innocence, also not really AAA, The Surge 2, Yooka-Laylee, Grid, Abzu, which I've never even heard, and then Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons. It's like those are the ones they're advertising. That should probably tell you something about the other, 95 games that they have on there. And then in addition to that, it seems they'll have channels. So it's kind of like an a la carte version of Stadia. So a slightly different monetization strategy. But let's say you pay $6 a month for the base service, and then there aren't prices listed for this hypothetical Ubisoft quote unquote channel. But let's say like it's another $5 a month for the Ubisoft, and maybe you pick out some other developers, so maybe they're working on other partnerships, which would be kind of cool. So we'll just have to see how that pans out. I mean, it's weird because Ubisoft has their own subscription service.
So does EA, but they got into bed with Game Pass.
Right. So I think we're seeing this consolidation, which is kind of nice because
it is, because I was worried it was going the other way.
Right, and that's how television's gone. It's split and split and split and split to the point where you're essentially, like, if you wanted it all at the drop of a hat, you're paying essentially the same as cable.
That's unsustainable, by the way. I don't think that's going to last very long.
It can't. And people like me, it's, HBO, I'll subscribe when the new seasons of Game of Thrones or the new season of Westworld or whatever, and then I'll drop it. And I do the rotation. I do the same thing with the game services. Some people, that's too much trouble. Maybe the majority of the people, that's too much trouble. But luckily, it seems like these gaming services are consolidating a little more quickly than, say, the television ones, which seem to be splitting.
Yeah. But yeah, not a lot of new info, or not a lot of info to go off of. I have no faith in this any more than I did Google. It's probably even less now because of watching Google. I will say Amazon, I don't know their history with stuff, but I do know that they can be way more bullish about overtaking an industry, or at least
they have the infrastructure too. They already have the infrastructure.
So did Google. They didn't do this without it. They just didn't promote and make the deals and make it an enticing thing. They had the infrastructure, though. You could literally play the games. I think Amazon's even better set up for that. Because
but
that's not why Stadia will fail. It's irrelevant, is what I'm saying. Okay, it'll run on AWS.
Opinion, Stadia already failed, man.
Well, exactly, but it won't be because they didn't have their own version of AWS. It'll just make it easier for Amazon to, if they want to, last longer. If they're struggling, they won't have to worry about server farms and infrastructure and how am I actually literally going to even get you this service? I don't have to argue with myself. I am me.
Sure, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Because I would imagine other streaming services would actually have to partner with Amazon to distribute, and not them. They own that infrastructure. Yeah. They also have I wanted to note this. There's a $50 controller that, just like Stadia, connects directly to Wi-Fi. It supposedly doesn't totally mitigate the latency, but it helps, is what they say. So that'll be interesting to see. And then in terms of like the devices that it works on, notably it works on Alexa enabled. Like it works on the Kindle. Fire TV Stick and other kind of like Amazon hardware.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see how this pans out because I know Amazon and Google often do not get along. So, like, will this be available on Android is my question. I don't know that that's clear or not from what we know so far. Well, it says there's an Android version planned and also iPhone and iPad via web apps. So maybe not a native, maybe not a native application that's available on the App Store.
They won't be able to make a native application on the Apple stores because of all the things that we've been talking about these last like 2 months.
Right. So, yeah, anyway, it'll be interesting to see how that pans out. I know a lot of those, it feels like eventually one of those services is going to break the glass ceiling because you have so many. You've got GeForce Now, you've got Project xCloud, you've got Stadia, you've got this Amazon Luna, and you've got so many high-profile companies trying to do this that, like, Apple can only keep them and Google can only keep them at bay for so long, especially when you introduce the fact that, like, how can Google not let this on their app store when they have Stadia? Like, that has antitrust written all over it. You know what I mean? Like, you can't prevent Amazon from you can't disallow Amazon from having this app on Android when, first of all, you're not supposed to be walled garden, and second of all, you have a competing service. And especially when Apple supposedly has, like, some sort of competing streaming service that's in the works. It's coming to a boiling point, and it will be interesting to see how it pans out. I'll say that
for sure. Yeah. All right. So that's that. And now on to some lighter news. Sony. We're going to move on to the next big boy. They're going to go ahead and continue being jerks and not being cool about next gen. Because let's face it, they haven't really been cool about next gen.
Dude, they haven't been cool about anything. They haven't been cool about cross progression. They haven't been cool about crossplay. They haven't been cool about anything since the PS3. I mean, really. They came out, they sold, however many consoles they sold, and they decided, well, we're in the winning position, so we don't need to be consumer friendly.
That's what everyone says. I don't know if that would be true either way. I think Sony's just the way they are, It's easy to say that, but there's no proof. So
true.
Anyway,
yeah, I mean that's true. Japanese companies tend to be slower to adapt. That's just probably partially cultural,
right? But the thing that they did this time is there will be no free upgrade for Spider-Man on PS4 to PS5. So there is some sort of convoluted paid upgrade. So for all the people who saw the initial tech demos of PS5, they used Spider-Man to show off how fast Spider-Man could sling and through the city and how fast load times were, and they were all very, very fast, and that was cool. And so for their premiere tech demo, one of their most popular games on the console, no bones are being thrown. Sorry. You're going to have to pony up like $20 for the But see, it's not just a simple, like, I want the upgrade for Spider-Man. Like, I haven't looked into it, but all I know is that it's not easy. And you have to, like, buy the special edition in Miles Morales or something goofy like that to get the Spider-Man PS4 upgrade. It's so weird.
It makes no sense. They're making it, like, as convoluted as they possibly can. It's frustrating because you see Microsoft putting out these initiatives like Smart Delivery, and Sony's almost trying to do the opposite. They're like, if Sony's not going to get on board with these free upgrades, like, why would any third party developer or publisher?
Well, if they're doing it on Xbox, then you can't ignore it on PS5, assuming Sony has a way to let you do that. This smacks of incompetence to me, though. Incompetence induced by, like, we don't care enough to figure it out, and so we're not devoting enough of our best resources to, like, creating a smooth transition. And so, like, you've got somebody who might have a good idea, but then they don't have the knowledge or, time or resources department-wise to, like, implement it. And so, like, you're just getting this really bungled version of it.
So what does this mean? Does this mean I go to the store and I buy a physical copy of Spider-Man PS4 and then I pop it in and then I get no benefit from owning a PS5? Like,
I mean,
they haven't explained that.
I mean, like, this whole, like, to a degree, this entire conversation around, like, the free upgrades it's a very new territory. It's the first time this has ever like quote unquote been possible, like not literally, but like it's obviously the first time it's ever been offered. Prior to this, you had to buy an entire new game, maybe at a reduced price, but an entire new game, and it was always a remastered version or a remake or whatever. So it's like we're getting a little entitled's not the right word, but like I think we all, you know, all the industry needs to calm down a little bit. Like okay, yeah, you bought a PS5 and now you have backwards compatibility. Like, oh no. Like, okay, just play this awesome game that still looks amazing.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But I almost feel like they just should have not even offered upgraded versions.
Agreed.
Just give us the backwards compatibility and say that's the end of it. Because I understand they're trying to monetize this capability, but it honestly just comes off as anti-consumer.
It is. But, you know, Jason, they work hard and they need that extra money, man. Games aren't cheap. They're expensive to make. And games have been $60 for a really long time. And it's about time that they cost $70 because, you know, inflation and other nonsense that means nothing in the face of microtransactions and subscription services.
Right. And they have been unprofitable for so long.
Yeah, those poor billion. I just bought ZeniMax for $7.5 billion. Please give me some money.
Right, but no, see, that's the thing. Xbox or Microsoft's being cool about this.
They're being cool. Oh, don't do that. Don't fall into the trap. Like, all these things amount to almost nothing at the end of the day. Like, these are like, we're talking 1% on the meter of do I care more about one or the other? Because it's about how much does it cost and how good is the thing I'm buying. That's all that really matters. And yeah, sure, Game Pass is consumer friendly and costs a lot, you know, has a great price point, etc. But I don't care. I just don't care when I have all these amazing games over here and I'm still only going to buy so many, you know? Like, I know we're about to talk about my overwhelming backlog, but I still only buy so many games.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Anyway, I just wish we lived in a world where companies weren't only motivated by money. Like, they actually wanted to deliver a great product to consumers that would just benefit humanity, because yes, they'd make some money doing it, but also because they actually were passionate about making
benefit
games and
humanity.
Making consoles.
I know what you mean, but it's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, but they're literally only motivated by money. Like, literally only motivated by money. And I understand, like, making games isn't an altruistic exercise. Like, of course they're in business to make money.
But it could be. They could be this shining beacon of capitalistic hope. You know, it's
sure.
Like, that makes me say, this is how it should be. We can have our cake and eat it too.
And I'll tell you that company is, I'm losing my train of thought. Witcher 3. Cyberpunk 2077.
CD Projekt Red.
CD Projekt Red. That's the company you're looking for right there.
So far, yeah. Privately owned, still being cool about stuff. You're totally right. Free upgrades for everything, it seems.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting into the weeds here. Let's move on. Let's move on to another thing about next gen. Microsoft, in partnership with Seagate, has announced their 1 terabyte expandable storage for their Xbox Series S and X, so it'll be compatible with both, for $220. It'll have compatible speeds with SSD. I don't think it is exactly an SSD itself, but it's similar enough technology. It is proprietary. And that's that. So for people who want the Xbox Series S, which is the cheaper one, the $300 version, which only comes with a half a terabyte, so 512 gigabytes in the SSD, this is a option that you can take. But knowing that $300 plus $220 is $520, which is $20 more than the X for only a net gain of half a terabyte. So how do you feel about this price point and this proprietary stuff?
If the speed is comparable to the internal drive, then maybe this is an okay price point. And even like for owners who went all out for the Series X, this might still be a good thing to have because you don't have to re-download games. Mm-hmm. For me personally, I'm never going to do something like this because, like, I mean, I have fiber, I have a gigabit internet, and I will just, spend the 20 minutes to re-download a game versus paying an extra $220 for this external storage. But I understand why it's there and why people might want it. I do, I do question all these promises of reduced load times or no load times, et cetera, et cetera. Is it possible to do that with this external drive? I don't know.
I think so. I think, like I said, I think this is specific because the articles I read mentioned like you can still buy yourself a regular, drive to run down like non-upgraded games and basically non-next gen versions of stuff. But like this is specifically in answer to I want seamless storage with what came with the console. Like so,
I'll be honest with you, and I had not seen this story prior to looking at the doc here, but I would almost rather just have a really easy way to change them in and out, and let us upgrade the internal ourselves, kind of like the PS4 does, where it's like really easy 2 screws.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm sure that this proprietary.
Have you seen it?
I haven't seen this drive, but
it's
all
tiny.
I was going to say
it's
is
like a card. You like just. It's going to be real. It's about as good. Like, I don't think if it was this honking beast with like a cord, I would agree with you. But in this case, it's just this little card you're going to stick into the box and it's not going to be that big a deal.
Okay. Well, that's kind of nice. All I was going to say is I'm sure that the speeds that they're talking about and how integrated the hard drives are with the rest of the hardware, I'm sure they're probably soldered onto the motherboard is all I was going to say. And there's probably not a way you could upgrade them. But this is kind of cool if you have a little expansion port that you just kind of pop it in.
Yeah, especially with the S is like the smallest console ever. The smallest Xbox console ever. There's no way that isn't all just so in there, you know? Yeah. And it was never going to be any other way if they were going to make it that small. It's just how it is.
Right.
The next item we have, it's redacted. Something about Nintendo. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Docs.
I don't know. It's like a weird, messed up Smash Brothers where you can only be Kirby or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And then last, one of my favorite things of the year, aside from E3, which was canceled, is Game Awards, and it was announced that it'll be on December 10th, which I believe is a Thursday. Let me go ahead and look that up real quick.
Interesting.
Yeah, it was in the middle of the week last year too. Yep, Thursday. So I will be watching that.
Gamers have no lives. They'll tune in any day of the week.
Well, it starts late because it starts Pacific time, and so it's even later, like Eastern time.
Right, and then we have to wake up, the next day.
Yeah. So last year was kind of like dull as far as like Game of the Year contenders. It was a good year for gaming. I think Sekiro took it. Was that right?
I don't know. I didn't watch Game Awards last year.
Well, I did. And it was a good time. I enjoy Jeff Keighley, his persona. He's a pretty bland is not the right word. He is inoffensive. He's an inoffensive personality. His sense of humor is incredibly dry, borderline. Does he even have one? You wonder sometimes, but it's there and it's funny. It was a bit messy last year because they want to do so much. They want to cram like so many different kinds of awards, but then they don't even show them. It's like you literally defeated the purpose. Like, don't have it if you're not going to show it. And if you need to show it somewhere else, like in a pre-show, that's fine. Figure out how you're going to do that. The ads get in the way, but you got to have ads to fund these kinds of things, and that's fine.
And just for the record, you're not talking about like the main awards. You're talking about kind of like the best art direction for an indie,
Yeah,
whatever.
Those kinds of things are always. Yeah. But see, sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is like there's still not the most prestigious award, but it is still an award that you might be interested in if you have an interest in this industry. And like, that's what I'm here for. I'm literally here for the awards. Show me those contested, or what's the word I'm looking for? Not contenders, nominees. Show me the nominees and show me if anyway, it's going to be interesting how they handle it with COVID and all that. Last year, their big way to close out the show was Vin Diesel on stage announcing that stupid Fast and Furious game. So they cannot do something like that again. That was terrible. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
They should have The Rock on stage announcing an XFL game. That would be cool.
Why do you do
I would
this?
play that. I would play the heck out of that, dude. 2K developing an XFL game. Give me that.
No, because it would, unless it's like NFL Blitz, I want nothing to do with it.
That would be so cool.
It would be. But that's going to be a lot sooner than we think. We are now less than 3 months away from December 10th.
So just to be clear, is this totally virtual, or are they going to have some people?
I honestly don't know. I didn't look up anything about it. I figured I'll get those details, as we get closer. Keighley likes to drip feed everything. as we'll talk about in a little bit. But
Cool.
yeah, I watched that with the Easy Allies because it's nice to have some banter in between a lot of the nonsense. Otherwise, it does get too dull, and it's like there's just no point in watching. All right, Jason. All these stupid services. But we got cold, hard, digital video games that we can play.
Yeah, we do.
So, what do you wish you were playing?
Mine's pretty simple. And I'll talk about this a little more when we get into what we've been playing. I've been distracted by a certain game. And when I wish I was playing, even though I'm loving the game that I'm currently playing, I just wish there were more hours in the day for me to play Hades because I got a taste of it and then pretty much immediately went into Mario 64, Super Mario 64 in the 3D All-Stars. So I haven't circled back to Hades, but I really want to. And I know you've been playing a lot of it, so I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. So that's mine. What about you?
Oh boy, do I want to play everything. I am pretty content playing Hades, I gotta say, but just before Hades dropped and consumed my life, along with Mario 64, when I had a spare moment, I was about to lose it. I was trying to play too much at once and wanted to play too much at once, and I still do. As soon as I'm done.
Yeah, you were playing like 7 games at once, weren't you?
Something like that. Like every week, I was playing like 2 different games, new games. I'd drop in the previous 2 and move on to the next 2. Like, I want to play Skyrim still. I wasn't done with that yet. I wanted to play a little bit more. I wasn't going to put much more into it. Like, because it's just boring. But like, I still wanted to play some. I mean, who knows? It might have hooked me. I want to play Divinity. It's just, oh my gosh, that game's so good. And it's just like, it scratches that D&D itch so well when we're not playing D&D, which is too often. We're not playing it often enough. But it's a slow game. It takes a long time to do anything. And you got to be in that mood. And it's hard to get in that mood. And then there's Mario, which I am playing, but it's only getting a fraction of my time. And I'm only playing 64. And like, I don't want to move too fast into, Sunshine Galaxy. Yeah, because it's like, because you start like those Mario 64 is so good because it starts so quick. Like, boom, you're in and you're playing. The other 2 don't have that for a fact. Like, in my memories, like, no, there's a lot of like exposition before you actually get to play the game. Ba, 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 ba. Ba. And then
that's the bomb level. Anyway, keep going.
And there's Paper Mario, which I just learned I have access to, and like I was resigned to just not play it, but now I have to. And then the King K, he's a YouTuber. He does really cool, like, you know, retros and analysis videos on the games he likes. And we like a lot of the same games. And he did one on Bug Fables, but I can't watch it because it's got spoilers. And now I got to play Bug Fables just because it's awesome. And I want to watch that video.
So you still haven't purchased that Bug Fables though, right?
Not yet. And then Hyrule Warriors is 2 months away, which will be here in like the blink of an eye. Speaking of which, there's more data about that game in 2 days. On a Saturday. So that's weird. And then Suikoden 2. Like, poor Suikoden 2. Poor Vita. Like, I went to the trouble of getting it up and I was like having a great time and then dropped that too for whatever else. And now I want to play Pyre because of Hades. Because Pyre is really...
Suikoden 2 though?
You were gone. I talked to Sean about that. Suikoden 2 is just, it's an old PS1 JRPG.
Oh, I do remember that. Okay, yeah, you don't have to go into that. I didn't recognize, like when I read that, right. I literally read that as Sudoku, and I was like,
Sudoku. And yeah, so playing so much Hades has me want to play Pyre, which I was really digging, but I just didn't feel like playing on my PS4, which apparently was a huge inspiration for Hades, and I can totally see that, because it's all about choices and consequences and playing through multiple times, potentially, to get the full story. Because there's lots of different characters, and some characters can come in and out of the game, and blah, 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 but they're never going to port it to Switch, because Supergiant sucks. I'm kidding. Supergiant, you're the best, but if you could, pretty please, with all your new Hades money,
right,
put Pyre on Switch. Because it's on PS4 and PC.
Oh, well,
and
then
Hades
no reason.
is on PC and Switch, but it's not on the other ones, and it doesn't have a plan to come to like PS4, which I think is really weird.
That is strange.
Yeah.
But I read something like Hades was the highest selling, not in terms of cash, but like in terms of units, highest selling indie game on the Switch in a certain amount of time that I can't remember.
It was number 1 that week.
Oh, that's what it was.
It was at the top of the list, yeah.
But still, I'm sure it sold a ton. And
they've
probably
hit a million. They've hit 1 million units, including all their early access. But like with the launch of the Switch, it pushed them over to 1 million. I have to imagine a lot of those came from the Switch, but probably not the lion's share. Because again, this game's been out in some form for a little over a year now, maybe 2 years. Which we'll talk about in a bit. I don't want to get into it because I want to talk about Mario first. So that's what I wish. I wish I was playing everything because I'm broken. I'm broken inside. And I have no self-control. I'm impetuous. I'm going to go buy a PS5. I'm going to go buy 3 PS5s right now.
Ooh, can I have one of them?
You may not.
What are you going to do with them? Do you even have 3 TVs?
Well, you know how you take graphics cards and you link them up and then you have a super graphics card?
Oh, yeah.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to throw them out the window and put it on our YouTube channel.
Good thing you live in a ranch house.
I do live in a ranch.
It's not going to be a very far fall.
It's like a parody of those like destroying console videos. Like, I threw it into the soft grass.
After you're done doing that, just go ahead and send it to my ranch home, and I can do the same thing.
Perfect. All right, Jason. We've both been playing the same games, just in different quantities. You've been playing a little bit more of yours, and I've been playing a little bit more of mine. But let's start with the game that you've been playing more of, and that's Super Mario 64 on the 3D All-Stars collection. So, go.
Okay, so I've been playing Super Mario 64. This came out last Friday, and so I was anticipating, like, this was my what do you want to play from last week, and I've been anticipating this. I jumped on it, even though I wasn't super in the mood for it. I just, because it's limited, because you wanted it, because Tyler wanted it, I went ahead and got it, and then it kind of got its hooks in me because I started playing Super Mario 64 with Luke, my son, 3-year-old, and I just became very nostalgic, instantly. I was like, oh my gosh, I remember all these levels. I remember all these secrets. It's been really enjoyable. It's kind of brought me back to, this was the first game I got for the N64. I had that super 90s kid experience of opening the N64 on Christmas morning that we've talked about before, but this was the game I got with it, and all those memories rushed back. It was amazing. It's still amazing. Obviously not without its flaws. I specifically found one thing that was taken out or fixed or patched. I found it odd. So in the Super Bob-omb, it's the first level you gain access to. When you go to the top of the mountain, there are 2 indentations in the mountain where the boulders come out of that you have to jump over to get up the mountain. On the first one, if you jump in the N64 version, if you jump into that alcove and you walk into the wall, Mario will spread his arms out and put his face up against the wall as if he's kind of scaling it like the side of a cliff.
He's sidling.
Yes. And if you strafe to the right corner, this smoke will start to come out of the corner. I don't know why. It's and if you did that for long enough and released in the first game, you would, in the N64 version, you'd teleport to the second algo, which is at the top of the mountain.
Jason, you're misremembering it, dude.
No, I'm not.
You are. No, you are. You just have to stand still. You always just had to stand still. There's no pushing.
Either way, I tried everything. It does not work in this version.
I watched Juliet do it earlier. She did it. I told her about the secret. I told her go in there, and it worked both ways. You can go up and down.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, well...
Stand in the middle. Stand in the middle towards the wall.
And that actually brings me full circle to my original point that it's really, and we texted about this, it's really hard to play this game based on my memories from 3rd grade because I'm trying, I'm I remember this level. I remember these red coins. I remember what I have to do, but I really don't.
Right. There's a lot of, you're 90% of the way there and then you're but I don't remember.
Yeah, and so that's been a little bit challenging, and I don't want to look anything up because I'm stubborn. And I will say, I think you have some of these points listed in yours. So I'm about 25 stars in, and I beat the first Bowser. I'm taking it probably a little slower than you. But I will say, and I think everybody's had this commentary, the camera angles have not held up. I don't care about the graphical fidelity at all.
No.
I like this. I wanted this art style because of the nostalgia, but I could have done with a little bit better camera angles.
Yeah, for sure. It's bad, and I haven't touched this game in a meaningful way. Like, I played that DS remake for maybe like an hour or two over the last like 15 years, like when it first came out. And so I haven't touched original Mario 64. I can't remember the last time. Never owned it outright. It was always a rental or something I played at friends. But like, people talk about that camera, and they're not joking. It's worse than they say. Like, they're used to it, and so they're just kind of perturbed. Like, it's bad. It's bad. Bad.
Well, but you think about it, like, this was like the introduction of like, how do you do these third person games?
For sure.
Nintendo was writing the book on it, and so I commend them for that. 1996, though, that's 24 years ago. So, like, it's almost a quarter of a century later, and I just expect maybe just a little bit of help on. I don't need you to change the entire way the camera works. I do think it was kind of interesting because the way that Nintendo pitched this perspective is that you had one of those turtles in the clouds. What's his name?
Lakitu.
Yeah, you had like him, like, quote unquote, filming you going through this adventure. I thought that was so clever because I never picked up on that originally. I mean, I was probably too dumb to read the thing.
Yeah, Juliet's the same way. She won't read. She makes me read it for her. So.
Yeah, so like I never picked up on that originally back in the day.
It's cute, but like people, I've heard other people put too much. Not that you're doing this, but other people put too much stock in it. Like, you don't need an excuse for a camera in a third person. You didn't need an excuse for a camera in a 2D. Why would I need an excuse for the perspective capture? Like, it's cute, but it's not necessary. And some people are like, it wouldn't have happened. I'm like, no, of course it would have happened. You can't have a 3D game without like a camera.
It's just interesting because like this was the first foray into this type of game, and like Nintendo, like I said, Nintendo's writing the book on it, and so I kind of like, it almost gives a little bit of it from oddly, if pretend you are like super into continuity and immersion, it kind of gives some excuse to why the camera angle is so bad.
It does do that.
But at the same time, it's really frustrating, especially when you're trying to do something so simple and you're like, in any other game, this would be so simple.
Yeah.
And it's just not. So.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, this game, it's amazing. This game, maybe even more so than the original Super Mario Brothers, is just a design, artistic, tactical marvel for what it accomplished and how it holds up despite its flaws. Because it does. It holds up really well. It holds up really, really well.
Because the design is so good.
Right. And like I let's see. Aside from Animal Crossing and Harvest Moon, which aren't technically 3D. I mean, they're 3D games, but you're moving on a 2D plane up and down and left and right. There is absolutely zero 3 dimensions you can move in. I put a controller. I put my SNES Pro Plus in Juliet's hands, and aside from me kind of giving her a couple of things of advice, and one time showing her how to like get the Bomb King from behind, which she got thrown off and she had to do it all over again anyway. She did it. She beat it. Like, never touched it before. Like, how good is this? I talked about this with Sean a couple weeks ago. Totally didn't think about this game as far as getting someone into a 3D game. And I probably still wouldn't necessarily recommend. There might be a better game, but this is not a bad game because guess what? We all cut our teeth on this. The world cut its teeth on this game for 3-dimensional spaces for the most part. Some people might have played Crash and only Crash for a long time, but that's so confined, like this game taught everybody how to play 3D games, and it did it so well. It's so stupid how good this game was.
Yeah, it's funny because Luke has only ever played the 2D Mario game, so he's seen that like 2.5D art style, but he's not really played any other 3D game. Like, he played a little bit of Rocket League, little bit, and again, he's 3. But I put the controller in his hand for this one. It was so funny to watch because he did not understand that you have to pull the left stick toward yourself to make Mario walk toward you. And he finally got that. And that just made me realize, like you said, how great the design of this game is, to where they make it so intuitive what you have to do. I don't even know any other way you could have done it, but they were the first. So props to them. I still love this game. I'm going to continue to play it. I think I'll probably beat like all 3 Bowsers, and then I'm not going to do 120 stars. But
yeah, I probably won't either.
But yeah, I mean, I'm really enjoying it. But again, there are other games that I would like to be playing. It's hard to tear myself from this because it's so nostalgic. But let's talk a little bit about the other game we've been playing, which is Hades.
Whoa, Hades is so flippin' good.
Tell me about it.
I didn't joke. It was too early. This is a game of the year contender, and probably my game of the year so far. Like, this game. Oh, I compared it to Hollow Knight, at least in the doc. I don't know if I said it out loud, but so I'll say it now. If I didn't say it, or I already said it, I don't care. Hollow Knight came out on PC to intense critical acclaim. For the most part, the user base, though, the players themselves. I'm sure there were articles and reviews of people who bothered to play the PC version, but for the most part, if it's not on console, it doesn't exist, in the larger gaming sphere. And then I heard about it at the beginning, and I was like, okay, whatever. It's a Metroidvania, and I love Metroidvanias, but I didn't pay much mind, even though it looks so pretty. And then it was announced for Switch, I believe, and I started paying attention, and I became something clicked, and I was like, I need to play this game. I need to play this game the second it comes to Switch. It was shadow dropped at E3 2018, I believe. Yeah, sounds about right. And then I bought it for $15 and played it exactly like I'm playing Hades, nonstop until I beat it. I don't think I played anything else, and I barely, if I had free time, I was playing Hollow Knight. And so in that sense, Hades and Hollow Knight are the same. And additionally, much like Hollow Knight ruined Metroidvanias for me. It embodies that concept so well. It is designed so well. And Hades does the same thing for these roguelikes. The specific kind of roguelike, because there's a lot of different kinds of roguelikes, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to ever play Dead Cells, or when Rogue Legacy 2 comes out. I don't know if I'll be able to play.
Go away.
Dude, it's so much better.
This is so different from Dead Cells.
It is so different, but because it doesn't, I'll still find myself, I'm like, why doesn't it do it like Hades? Why can't I do like it's going to do that to me? This is such a good game. The themes of being in the underworld and dying, but you're a god, so it doesn't really, and you come back and your dad has got you on lock and key, and he hates you so much, and you hate him so much, but it's also so pithy, and everybody's so capricious, and they don't care, but they're also so mad a lot of the time, and it's just the right amount of kind of doom and gloom and gore. There's really not that much of it for the most part. The monster designs and the character designs are actually quite tame, and yet so colorful and so alive. And it speaks nothing to the just near perfect gameplay. And again, it's not complicated. You got a main attack, you got a special attack, you got a dash. But what you can do with those three, you have this, it's called a cast, if you remember the crystal thing.
Right, yeah.
And so you got 4 different attacks, and the dash is mostly maneuverability, but it can also attack depending on how you upgrade it in each run. The way that it spreads out from there, depending on which god you run into on your run, and how you advance those abilities, and which ones you choose at which time based on the weapon as well. It's just, oh my gosh, it's so amazing. So amazing.
I'm still taking umbrage with how the comparison to Dead Cells, because
it's better than Dead Cells. Fight me.
That's okay if you say that as a whole, but the gameplay is totally different. There's no verticality, there's no Metroidvania aspect really to this
Dead
game.
Cells, get out of here with that Metroidvania. There's almost no Metroidvania. It's just a vertically based, it's a side scroller 2D instead of an isometric.
There's
no choice to make. There's no actual Metroidvania. It's an illusion. The Metroidvania is an illusion in Dead Cells.
I disagree, because of the way you can traverse the biomes.
It's fun. I like it. I'm just saying that I don't think it's apples and oranges. I think they're close enough to compare, and I think that Dead Cell or that Hades is the better game.
I mean, that's totally fair to say.
Sure.
I disagree that they're close enough to directly compare. That's like, to me, Children of Morta is a much better comparison.
Oh, it's absolutely. Children of Morta is this game 0.5. You know, it's like it's Hades 0.5. It wishes so bad it could be Hades, and it came out, and I played it before Hades, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely played it before, but I don't know when it came out. But like, they're actually incredibly similar. In Hades, instead of having multiple people as classes, essentially, your weapons are your characters. So, you know, you pick the spear up, and then you pick all the boons from the gods as you go through each run. And that was like if you pick the dad or the daughter or the brother or the son or the mom or whatever in whatchamacallit. And each run had like a little different, this is Children of Morta, similar to Hades, like just little tidbits of story. Every time you return to home base, there was a bunch of stuff to talk about and discover. And I love Children of Morta. It's a great game. But like, if you liked Children of Morta, you will like Hades without a doubt. Just because it's better.
And I guess
way.
that's where I'm going with it. If you liked Children of Morta, you will love Hades. If you liked Dead Cells, this is a totally different type of game.
I would still recommend this game to anybody who plays Dead Cells. Absolutely. It's 100% up your alley. And you might like it better, you might not. But to say that it's not a recommendable game because it's not that different. It's conceptually, like, obviously the nitty gritty and the mechanics and the design are different, but like conceptually, like, these games hit such a similar chord in like the roguelike repetition brain and the fast-paced brutal combat and the permadeath and the going.
But in the mechanics and the combat, I just think they're so different.
They are.
That's where I'm
true.
getting.
That's true. But like,
so it depends on what aspects of those games you enjoyed that will dictate if you like this one more or less or whatever. I guess that's all I'm saying is, like, mechanically it's a lot. Conceptually it's very similar. Mechanically it's very different. Yep. There's almost no verticality.
No, there is no verticality. There's no verticality whatsoever in Hades.
Because it's isometric.
And I mean, verticality in this sense, literally, I can climb a ladder or not, and I can drop down from a ledge or not. Like, you're not jumping in Dead Cells.
I am. You played it wrong.
How do you jump?
What do you mean, how do you jump? You press the bottom button. You jump. You can double jump.
I'm sorry, you're right. You can. I totally forgot. I played this game like less than 2 weeks ago, and I already forgot that I can double jump.
And also the whole, like, almost like how Link has the downward stab in Smash.
Yeah,
you have a similar mechanic in Dead Cells.
I abuse the crap out of that.
Yeah, and if you get the amulet that allows you to set the ground on fire, and yeah.
It's so funny to hear you gush about. I know you love Dead Cells. I think you need to give Hades a little more time. You might. I'm not saying you will.
I love Hades. I love it. I just don't think I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison. That's all I'm saying.
I see.
Because and again, I think to me, like, if I think about the way you and I evaluate games, I think you evaluate them more conceptually, and I evaluate them more mechanically, just by nature.
Right.
And I think
that you'll. And that's how you can compare it. But like, I think by the time that you're done with Hades, I can put you in a room and make you pick, and you'll end up picking it.
I hope so. I cannot wait to play more.
It's so much more forgiving, but it's not at all easy. Like, I'm sure, I know for a fact there's people out there who have probably done it in, like, no hit, no death runs really early on, that kind of thing. I'm 23 runs in and I haven't beaten it yet. I'm interested to see what it looks like when I quote unquote escape, because that's a guy, he wants to escape. He wants to escape hell, Hades, Tartarus, all those places, the underworld. He wants to escape that. Hades doesn't want him to. Him being Zagreus, his son. And like, everything's pointing towards, like, there's going to be more to it. Like, I'm going to have to keep escaping. Like, for whatever reason, it's either not going to work, or I'm going to go back on my own accord, and I'm going to have to, like, do this again and again in some weird groundhog situation. Like, because there's so much more to unlock, and there's the resources that you use, like, are very difficult to obtain, and I'm only going to get those by going through all the way to the end, or at least getting close enough to the end several times. And so
it'd be kind of cool if they did something similar to Dead Cells, where, you have the boss cell, and then you kind of go into if you're talking about Diablo 2 terminology, you go into quote unquote nightmare.
I'm curious. I wonder if they'll do something like that. I'm not looking it up because I don't want to find out, because like there's a lot of stuff you can just kind of surmise, but there's a lot of stuff that's just fun to it's like oh cool, oh neat, oh wow, like
I love that.
Yeah, it's full of stuff like that.
Yeah, the organic exploration of a game like that. I mean, it is the fun of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to be ruined by knowing like what the end game is.
Yeah,
but I also will say that I don't appreciate getting to the end of a game like that, only to, like, I felt this way with the Messenger, where I got to the end of the game and then they jumped the shark and they're like, oh, well, this isn't just a linear platformer anymore that has really cool combat. Now it's a Metroidvania too, and you have to beat all this aspect of it. And I'm like, no, I don't want to. I mean,
No, I
I
don't think I
appreciate
will.
it, but I don't like that. I don't appreciate that. And so I kind of just hope for my own sake that they treat the end game with respect.
They will. It won't be anywhere like the Messenger, which I enjoyed, but I totally see how that would have turned a lot of people off. And even by the end of it, because I was like doing the 100%, find all the stuff kind of thing in Messenger. But yeah, the strength of that game was definitely the first half.
And I loved that. I loved it. I played it all, and I beat that. And that was a hard boss to get to that point of it. And I was like, oh, well, man, I kicked this game's butt. And then it's like, no, you got this whole other component of it that you haven't even touched. And I was just like, no.
Yep. And it really was just like a completely different game, which was not fun.
Made me so sad.
So yeah, voice acting, amazing. Music, so good. I'm trying to see if I forgot anything. Like it's too hard to like, because I can't gush too much because it's like there's only so much you can just listen to me go like, I love it. But then if I start to get into mechanics, it's like I'll just start talking about too many specifics. I will say that
Hades spoiler cast.
Can't wait.
Since the Last of Us Part 2 spoiler cast like really didn't pan out.
Ooh, that I do want to do that as a topic of the show sometime though. Not like a full-on spoiler cast, but I do want to talk about our feelings on that game. That it'll be a spoiler-filled thing, but it won't be like a 3-hour episode like our first spoiler cast was.
Right. I'd love to do that sometime.
Yeah. Anyway, I will say I finally started to find a few things that, at least to me, and the style of play I have is are OP. Like, projectiles in this game are punishing, especially when you walk into a room and it's like 10 of the enemies that send out like 10 projectiles each. And like, you can strike them with any weapon you have and it will like destroy the projectile. And there is a shield weapon that you can take that will like block things if you're doing a certain like move. Otherwise, you got to dash through them or around them or whatever. But Athena, her entire kit, everything that she offers you revolves around the ability to deflect projectiles. And it's too good. And it's too good on your dash specifically, because then you dash into the projectile and boom, it sends it right back to him. And like, not only obviously are you protected, but now it's hitting them too. It's too good. And it's annoying trying to find a specific thing when it's a randomized thing every time. There are ways to mitigate some of that. Like there's an item you can grab actually from every god that will guarantee that a room will have her thing in it or their thing or whatever. But then there's no guarantee that you'll get the dash deflect. You might get a different kind of deflect and it's not as useful. It's just not as useful. It's flat out inferior. Again, this is my play style. So, but up until like today, everything every run, I was like, okay, I can work with this. I can do this. And then I would feel just as powerful as I did the last time. But I'm starting to like finally eke out of like, okay, no, I'm really going to hope I get this one thing because it'll make my life 10 times easier.
Yeah.
Which I don't. Sorry, go aheid.
Oh, I was going to say that's the point I got to at Dead Cells where I was kind of like fishing for a certain build.
Yeah.
And then I was like, man, I'm min-maxing this now. And it's almost like just luck of the draw.
Yeah. They do. Oh, I forgot to say, they incentivize using different weapons and stuff really well. So there's like an in-game achievement system that rewards resources. So you'll want to use Ares, and not just Ares, but all the things Ares might offer, even if it's not like the best for that situation, because then you unlock the achievement and get the resources. Additionally, every time you kill a boss in a certain area with a weapon for the first time, you get a really good resource, very rare one that is otherwise very difficult to obtain, that you really want. And so you can't just have that favorite sword weapon if you want to power that sword up even, you're going to need to go kill that same boss with the shield, kill that same boss with the thing. And again, you're going to get chances to, because you're going to die. You're going to go through these things multiple times.
So are those like permanent unlockables that you're talking about? Like once you kill this god with this weapon, now you have a chance to randomly find X.
Sorta, yeah. So for instance, the first boss you kill it and she drops Titanic blood or Titan's blood or something like that. That Titan's blood can be used to enhance your weapons, or you can trade it for a different kind of resource. Now you can get that Titan's blood in different ways, but it's very expensive. And so the only guaranteed way to get it is to kill that boss with a weapon for the first time. So the resource is not permanent. You use it for something. You can get it other ways, but it's going to be harder at that point. So you got to be kind of sort of careful. Like there's no such thing in this game, at least, as like a permanent decision. You'll be able to, if like you made a bad choice. Like I kind of made a bad choice. Like I think I spent one of those things on a bunch of another resource, which wasn't the worst, but it also wasn't the best. Well, now I'm just going to have to go through this for a little bit longer before I get another one.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yep.
So would you possibly get to a point where you've killed a boss with every item and now you're going to have a hard time because you can't access.
Yeah, I already did that with the first boss. I've killed him with, I think there's 1, 2, 3, there's 6 different weapons you can use, and maybe more. I haven't unlocked any, but like all the spots where the weapons are before you start a run are filled in with those weapons. And you get those pretty early on. That's like by the 5th run, I think I had them all. But I killed the first boss and the second boss with all of them. And so I'm on the 3rd boss now. I've only beaten them with 3 of the 6 weapons. So I'm working through that.
What good does that do you though? Wouldn't it be better to just like kind of save it and then kind of min-max the way, like a perfect run of beating all the enemies or beating all the bosses with one weapon that you
I don't think you're understanding. I'm not quite sure you're understanding me. I'm not sure what you mean. What do you mean? What would be the point?
So it seems like you only have one opportunity in the entire game to beat a boss with a weapon you've never beat him with before, and then you unlock a certain thing.
Yeah, but again, that thing is, while it's really good to have that early on, you'll get more of it later. You just won't get it from that boss specifically.
Gotcha.
Like, it's just going to be like...
So you still unlock it by doing that, it's just you won't get it till later on.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like... Let's
they still incentivize you to beat every boss with every weapon.
Yeah.
It's just not as good as that particular run that you do it in.
Yeah, I mean, you get another resource, a different kind that's still... Let's say there's no bad runs in this. There's great runs and there's good runs, but there's no bad runs, and that's awesome feeling. 23 times I've smashed my head against this wall, and I want to do it at 23 more times. Because like I'm always getting something.
Okay.
Like the main currency you use to upgrade like your passive abilities that carry with you from run to run, you can reset that very easily. It does have like a teeny tiny cost, but it's not at all difficult to get like one of those things every run. And so it's really nice to be able to like, because you only start off with like 4 abilities to pump it into, and then you continue like slowly unlock 2 at a time. And at one point, someone's like, okay, now you basically double the amount of abilities that you can choose from. And so all of a sudden you're like, but I used all my points. Like, oh, well, have no fear. You can just reset them and respend them. And that's all
you
there is
can?
to it.
You can restat?
Yep.
Ooh, that is nice.
It is.
So you can kind of almost rebuild your character, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, you can try out like a quote, like to call it a build would be not quite, because again, you will eventually get enough points to just max out the tree, I guess is the best way to call it. It's this mirror thing. You look in a mirror, and I'm sure you might have seen that or not, but
I did, yeah.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mirror that you go back to every time in your bedroom. All the shadow points that you put into that event. You might not see it yet because you might not have the ability, but at some point it'll unlock the option for you to spend one of those keys to just reset all those, and you get them all back. Oh. You get all the points you spent back, and you can redistribute them.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. Everything else is locked in, but like in such a way that it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, I guess I kind of wish I could get some of those resources back, and like I would make a slightly different decision. But again, like I'm playing the game; it'll all come to me in time. I'm all in on Hades. 2020 game of the year.
Game of the year. Sorry, Last of Us 2. Sorry, Cyberpunk. Sorry, Final Fantasy 7 Remake.
Those first two were never going to get mine.
I know.
Okay. All right, we'll skip the topic of the show because it's meaty, as all topics of the show are, and we'll move on to listener questions because we got one this week. Sean writes in after having moved all 6 of his boxes into his house and says, "Hey, fellas, good to have both of you back together last week. One quick thing before a couple of questions. Found the second in one of my boxes." Very nice, Sean. He says, "I know it came up during the podcast. Having just gone and checked, I can confirm that the Final Fantasy 16 trailer does indeed say console exclusive." So there you go. There's a little correction at the end of the show for you. But his first question says, first question is whether you guys have seen some of the news around the PS5, Xbox series, and new graphics cards. So that's the NVIDIA series, 3000 series. And the issue with bots being a driver for all 3 of those having poor launches, because yes, indeed, all 3 pre-orders and shipping has been kind of a nightmare over these last couple of weeks. And so what our thoughts are on that. First and foremost, everybody hates bots. Nobody likes bots. That's pretty much in games, cheating, in real life, cheating. Bots are the worst. They're going to rise up and just take all our jobs. So,
yeah,
Jason,
I agree. It's really frustrating. And as like, I won't call myself like an avid concert goer, but like as a person who likes to go to concerts, it's also annoying to try to have to compete with that. I commend, there are some artists that will allow a certain allotment of local sales only, and you have to actually physically go to the venue to buy the tickets. I don't know how you get around that with something like this sort of launch, but I feel like there's a better way that needs to be taken into account for product launches like this. And again, I don't know. I honestly, I miss the midnight releases. I miss having to line up around the building and get, you're given a little slip of paper and you either get it or you don't. This whole pre-order business is always been stupid to me. It's always been frustrating to me to navigate and figure out what you're going to do. And like just on principle, I don't even love the idea of pre-orders. Like I would love to be able to give it 2 weeks and see if I even want it and then go to the store and get it. But that's just not an option. If you wait till 2 weeks post launch with PS5, you're going to be waiting a couple months to get a console, period.
Sure.
So my thoughts are bots are dumb, pre-orders are dumb, and just the whole way we do this is dumb. The supply chain's dumb, and not having them on the shelves is dumb. Like I just want to be able to go to the store and buy what I want to buy when I want to buy it. And I understand that it's like totally self-involved way to look at it. But like, I mean, you're talking to a guy who like wanted to go to the store and buy a camera a month ago. And I couldn't buy a camera anywhere. Couldn't buy a webcam, couldn't buy a regular cam, couldn't buy anything. And then it's been insane. Like adapters have been hard to, like everything's been hard to come by. I don't know how much you blame COVID, but
I wouldn't anymore. I wouldn't blame it anymore.
Bots are making me so, but I do to a certain extent, because there's no reason why every single store is going to be sold out of a Logitech webcam, but you can go on eBay and buy it for quadruple the price. True. That means somebody has them. Somebody has a lot of them, and something failed that allowed that to happen. It's just like the guy who bought 1,000,000 trillion rolls of toilet paper and stocked them in a warehouse in his stupid barn or hand sanitizer or whatever. Like, there's gotta be
arrested. So let's do that. We'll arrest all the bots.
Arrest them. It's crap. It's total crap that people can just go in, swoop in, buy 1,000,000 of something, and then resell it at quadruple the price.
But Jason, it's capitalism.
People, it drives me nuts. You gotta do it, man. Like I go to Target and it says quantity 1 per customer on the Clorox wipes, and that's what I gotta do for everything. Okay,
I agree. So I don't want to pre-order a PS5. I want to buy one very close to launch. I've decided. I don't know how I'm gonna go about that yet because it is so close to Christmas. So it's kind of like I'm an adult with a child. I should probably
You hate to spend that type of money on yourself when you could just like wait until January.
Yeah, and I can wait till January without a doubt. But some people want it now, and that's fine. Like I haven't bought a console at launch with the 3DS, and that doesn't count. It just doesn't. I bought the Switch really close to launch. I was definitely riding that wave. But like, there's something special about having that box day one, and it's nice. And it's like but did the bots? Is this strictly the bots' fault? And I want to say no, because to my knowledge, this problem was not nearly as severe for Xbox. I think, for the most part, obviously there's still a limited supply, and everybody's foaming at the mouth to get one. So a lot of people still didn't get one, and you do see people scalping on eBay for. First of all, before I get even further, you see people scalping on eBay PS5s and 3080s and Xbox Series X's and S's. What are they scalping? There's nothing to like. How do you transfer a pre-order to somebody?
I don't know, and then some of them could very well be banking on their bots to get them when they drop more, stock. I don't know.
It's so like I would imagine
it's just a promise of like, hey, I have one and I'll send it to you when I can.
Yeah, but the NVIDIA didn't. There's a lot of conspiracy theories, but definitely a lot of proof that NVIDIA just, whether intentionally or unintentionally, did not come prepared. They did not come prepared. NVIDIA.
Okay.
NVIDIA. I don't care.
Yeah, right. You're not wrong about that. But some companies, because NVIDIA is one thing, but they have other manufacturers. There's like I can't pronounce these. There's like EVGA. There's Asus, and there's other companies who like they manufacture their version of the 3080. Mm-hmm. Tyler bought an EVGA card, a 2070 off of Amazon, and EVGA, I'm not going to try to pronounce that, has a deal right now where if you buy from an unauthorized reseller a 2000 series card, you can upgrade for the price difference and send them back the 20, like say, so Tyler bought a 2070, he's going to upgrade to a 3090 when they're available. Cool. So he loses nothing on that transaction except for shipping, and that's it. He can trade in that 2070 and essentially upgrade to the 3090 when it's available. So I think that's a cool way to kind of circumvent these stupid bot, things. And I don't know how that translates into consoles, but it's at least cool for this sort of thing where you can modularly upgrade on the PC.
Yeah. So yeah, it's definitely the bots ruin things, but PS5 and NVIDIA did not help things. PS5 specifically because of their like, it's here. Oh yeah, here we go. It's out. Go get it. It was like, right. It was totally caught everybody off guard. We won't
give pre-orders till Friday, but it's Wednesday, and everybody go, rat race. It's insane.
Yeah, and that was Walmart's fault or somebody's fault. And then once the floodgates were open, everybody like screwed the pooch and all that. And then they did it again.
It's a weird mental image. It's a really weird mental image.
Screwed the pooch.
Don't like it.
Don't think about it. But at the same time, like, this isn't a Nintendo novelty item like the SNES Mini. Like, chill your bill, slow your roll. You'll get yours. I promise you will. You'll probably get it at launch. If you want it at launch, you'll probably get it at launch. Like, this isn't a Wii. Like, it's just, although, man, the fervor, it's there. It's crazy.
We'll see. We'll see. I hear you, but I'm not convinced.
Yeah, no.
You're not going to walk into a Target or a Walmart or a GameStop on launch day and get one without a pre-order. I don't believe that for a second.
Oh, now I got to prove you wrong. Crap.
Great. Prove me wrong, man. I don't see it happening at all. Not on launch day. And maybe wave 2 of the shipments, but they're going to be out for at least till like mid Q1 is my guess.
Yeah. And I have to wonder, like, is it just not possible to order as many as people want? Or do they not want
I think
to?
In a non-COVID year, it's possible. I think in today, like reality, I really don't think it's possible.
PS4 sold out too, though. Like,
but you never know what was a business decision versus what's a supply issue.
No, I don't. And that's what I'm asking. I'm like, and if you can, I guess my question is, if you can have enough supply, why wouldn't you? You're never not going to sell out of all those so early on in the console's life cycle. This isn't no Wii U situation. You're gonna sell 10 million.
Well, hey, the Wii U sold out too. That was impossible to find for forever.
That's true. That's so true, man.
But they did that weird little Nintendo artificial demand thing, So
yeah.
I don't know what's going on here. It's impossible to say not knowing the inside info on the supply chain.
Death to the robots.
Yeah, but the robots were made by people,
Death to them too.
Death to them.
Arrest them and hang them.
Hang the robots.
By their HDMI cords.
By their fingers, because that's what they use to program.
All right. Second question, Sean says, is simpler. We'll see. We've had a lot of impressive game trailers in the last few weeks. What have been some of your favorite gaming trailers? Good question, Sean. Deathloop remains so stylish. It's so good, right?
It's so good.
It's really good.
Let me tell you something. I will tell you what I dislike about game trailers. All of the ones that had the super cheesy narrator over them. So Harry Potter had that.
Yeah, it was bad.
All the Japanese ones have that almost.
They do?
I'm thinking one specifically. It was not Final Fantasy 16. That one was very good. Mm-hmm. But I'm specifically thinking of Phantasy Star Online, the remake.
That was a bad trailer. It was a very bad trailer.
And Harry Potter has it. There's a couple. Even the Kirby Fighter 2 had it.
Oh,
it was
that was so bad.
Like, fight as Kirby, and you're fighting against other Kirbys.
And the music disappears. It goes away, and he's just talking almost. Like, you can technically hear the game music in the background, but it's very faint. It was very bizarre.
It's the same way with that Harry Potter trailer. Traverse the Hogwarts from the early 17th century. Nothing about this will be anything Harry Potter, but we're stealing the name of the school, and you get to do cool wizardy stuff. So come on down. I mean, you sound like a crappy game show host.
Yeah, he does.
I hate every single one of the Deathloop. That's how you do a trailer.
That's how you do it. And lots of gameplay, especially in the most recent one. There was a lot of gameplay in that first one back at the PS5 showcase. The first PS5 showcase, that is.
Right.
But this one had even more, I thought. And it was all very good. And that's a game trailer needs gameplay. Like if it's not a 20-second teaser like the God of War one, you better have gameplay in it.
Otherwise, especially if you're coming out within a year. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it's just a bad trailer otherwise. Like, it might be entertaining and it might be beautifully rendered and blah, 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 and it might have a nice, make me feel something, but otherwise, yeah, it's not a good trailer. Like, the Final Fantasy 16 trailer, is my favorite trailer in the sense that I'm most excited for that game. And overall, it's just a really good trailer. Like you said, it was well edited. It had lots of gameplay for a game you'd never heard of anyway. Like, I know how that game's going to play. It's going to play like Devil May Cry with a Final Fantasy spin. Like, however that ends up being, that's how it's going to play. Like, I don't need to know too much more because then I'll just play the game. But now I know a whole bunch about the story. It looks amazing. Lots of great sound is so important. Music and sound editing is so important. And Kingdom Hearts 3, you can suck a butt. Because you don't know how to edit music into your stupid trailers, and it sucks because of that. Ugh.
Another one I want to give a shout out to, Ratchet and Clank.
Great trailer.
Yes,
great
oh my
trailer.
Gosh.
Yeah.
I think that one does a really good job of displaying the game conceptually, but then also hyping you up, and then also just showing off how beautiful it is, and the ray tracing and all that. Just I'm stoked about that. There were a few horror games too that looked amazing.
Oh, the Resident Evil 8 trailer is amazing. It was so good.
That one, but there's one on the Xbox where they
Medium?
say
The Medium?
Yes, the Medium. Holy cow, man!
I'll be playing it. I'm going to try that out when it launches soon. I'm going to play it.
Oh, and you know what? Sorry, I want to give one more. I know we're ripping through these quick, but honestly. What's the weird one everyone keeps making fun of on
Bugsnax?
PS Bugsnax? Yes,
it was a good trailer. It was
a good trailer, and it was even a good second trailer.
But guess what? It didn't show until the fourth time.
Gameplay.
And even then, I was still kind of confused about what the gameplay was. So a
no
catchy
idea.
song is not a game trailer.
No, but I liked the self-awareness of it.
Yep. It definitely gives you everything else about that game, except for how you're going to play it, which is still important. It's so important.
So those are a couple of my favorites. I don't know if you have any other. I know you were
I had one
big
more.
on Kena.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of them. Kena was another excellent all-around trailer. You know, told you the mood, the story, the characters, and the gameplay all like nice bite-sized moment. Unfortunately, it was delayed until 2021. So
that's
there was another that I wasn't going to say that one. I was going to say a different one. What was it?
Sorry.
Oh, what do we listen to? Not listen to. What do we watch? I don't remember. Oh well.
No, that's fine. Sorry, Sean.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I'm so sorry that we gave him 6 great answers and a bunch of examples for bad trailers, but whatever.
Right. I liked the grounded trailer that they did in the Xbox showcase where it was like,
that was funny.
If you want the greatest game of like the biggest RPG of 2020, wait for Cyberpunk. And then it was like grounded.
Cybertrunk's trailer.
I like the Fable. I like the Fable teaser, That was fine.
That's fine because that's a teaser.
Right.
I mean, nothing got me more hype than Ragnarok. Like nothing.
But I thought in terms of like if I'm looking at it objectively and I was going to score it on a rubric, I think the Fable teaser was better than the Ragnarok God of War teaser.
Yes, it was. But it doesn't make me more hype because I don't want Fable as badly as I want
Right.
God of
No,
War.
and I understand that, but I'm trying to be objective. But yeah, I'd say the number 1 definitely Deathloop, and then number 2 Ratchet, and then everything else we mentioned.
Yep. For me, it's Deathloop, and then Final Fantasy 16.
Oh, that one was so good.
And then probably 8, Resident Evil 8. I really like that trailer. Both of them combined. I think
that
they're
one
really
was
good.
so good because it gave you this little mini narrative, and it almost felt like a movie trailer. Like I really enjoyed that one.
And they can be a little bit more lenient with the gameplay because like it's going to be more of what 7 was, and we've seen a lot of that. Same thing like anything that comes out with God of War. It's like, I don't know, maybe they have some cool huge twist to show you about like how you're going to play differently, but I don't think they are. So it's all just going to be like minor things and upgrade trees and stories. So like just give me a good story trailer for that and I'm already all in, and most people will be too.
Sweet. Cool.
There's a whatchamacallit, you've never played 4, so it wasn't as impactful, but at the end of 8, there's a merchant. And Resident Evil 4 is famous for its merchant.
Oh, man, I know, because I've seen those YouTube videos. Okay. What are you buying?
What are you buying? It's a different merchant. It's not the same one, but I imagine he's going to have quite a personality like the original did, and it's going to be fun to see how they handle that.
Did you see that video? It was like a viral video back in the day of that guy who dressed up like the merchant and went out into just like regular old shopping centers.
That's the group, Mega 64.
Yes,
is the group.
Oh my gosh,
really
it's
funny.
So good. What are you buying? What are you selling?
I wish I could remember what else he says because he has a lot of lines.
I think that's all he says.
No, this is what he says the most, every time, but he has other lines too.
Oh man. Okay.
That remake's coming soon too.
Dude, we hit that. This could be a tight 90.
Tight
episode.
90. A loose 90.
Ooh. Like a P90X that gets you fat. Like it shows you like a loose 90.
P91X.
Ooh. It's just like it shows you how to curl snacks into your mouth. It's just like 1 M&M, 2 M&Ms.
My tongue will be stronger than anybody's tongue.
Heyo. Oh God, I'm gonna edit that out. I don't even want to know what that looks like.
You can't even see it. It's moving so fast.
Make me uncomfortable. Anyway, despite that display, try to
edit it out because I keep doing it.
I know. Just purge that from your. I hope you're a podcast listener and not a YouTube YouTube watcher, because I need you purge that from your memory. Try to get it out of there and just remove it. And you try your best, despite that image, to have a fantastic week. We will try, but we are never free to play.
You back? Man, you take so long to do everything. I eaten 2 pickles. I talked to my wife. And here he is. I can hear his stupid door.